My name is Teresa Earls, and I'm the tourism manager for the city of Suffolk. Beside me is Kevin Sari, our visitor center supervisor extraordinaire. He's also our department historian, tour guide, researcher, and all of the extra duties that come along with that. We are super excited to unveil this marker today, and we have our special guest with us. As you all know, Suffolk is a wealth of history. We really do draw on that history when we bring in visitors and groups, and of course locals who get to enjoy where we've been and where we're going. So this is just one more step to remind people how great Suffolk is and has been visited by amazing people in the past. And of course, Lafayette was certainly one of the most well-known visitors to Suffolk, and we're going to learn more from Mr. Julian Eicher, who's going to explain the Lafayette Trail program. As I am not an expert on Lafayette, he really is. So please welcome Julian.
Welcome everybody. What a beautiful day. I just would like to start by thanking Teresa and Kevin for making this happen, putting this event together. What an amazing opportunity for the Lafayette Trail in Suffolk as well. I think this is our first Lafayette Trail marker in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So it's a big deal. You should know that among our possible recipients in the future are sites like George Washington Mount Vernon, or James Madison's Montpelier, or Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. So you're going to pave the way for those markers to come in the future, I hope. So obviously we have in mind the bicentennial of 2024, which is when 200 years after the last visit of Lafayette in America. Just a few words about the Lafayette Trail before I give a little quick historical background. The Lafayette Trail focuses on the tour of Lafayette in 1824, which is the fourth and last visit of the Marquis to the United States. So in Virginia, Lafayette is well known, obviously, for the Virginia campaign, the Siege of Yorktown, obviously, where he was a pivotal player. Well known to for securing the help of the French that eventually led to American independence. I think it's important also that everybody remembers here that France is the oldest ally of this country. I'm gonna say we, I guess. We were here before anybody else jumped on the American boat and believed in the national course of this country. And certainly somebody like Lafayette was second to none in that regard. So 1824, the Marquis was the last surviving Major General still alive. Yes, last surviving, so yes, the last still alive at that time. He had spent, let's see, more than 40 years in France since his last visit to the United States. So 4 visits in the country for the Marquis de Lafayette: 1777, 1780, 1784, and then 40 years later, 1824, comes back for a fantastic tour of the entire nation. And that's what I like to emphasize to people, because fewer people know of the tour of 1824 and what it means for the nation. So you have to remember, at that time the country is spreading to the west. New states are popping up along the Mississippi Valley, creating competing economies for older states like Virginia, North Carolina, Massachusetts, the East Coast basically. And all those projects that were started by Thomas Jefferson and other presidents to create axes of communication linking the country together, they were not necessarily welcomed as, I would say, being in the national interest. They were seen as political moves. So the value of Lafayette in 1824 is really to unite this country together, taking all those roads, traveling on them, making sure that people know that if Lafayette is traveling on them, that must be in the national interest. That's what it means to be the nation's guest, which is the status of Lafayette in 1825. Another component of Lafayette's legacy, which is totally overlooked but should definitely be a promising angle in the future, is Lafayette was a strong abolitionist. Matter of fact, he was among the first in this country to say anything about slavery. 1783 is the first time we saw any reference to his abolitionist views. He questioned George Washington about that. Later on, James Madison, the founding generation in general, he asked the questions about slavery, the usage of slavery in this country. And we promote this angle of his legacy at the Lafayette Trail. I want to make sure that Americans know that Lafayette is a patriot that embraces universal rights as early as 1783, as we can document it. So this is all fantastic, obviously, legacy that I invite everybody to learn more about. We have our website at the Lafayette Trail that basically gives all this info about the military contribution of Lafayette to the country, but also his abolitionist views and all the legacy that I think people should be interested in. So as far as his farewell tour, as it's known, goes, Lafayette came here in on February 25th, 1825. It was a Friday. So not every town in the country. I've been to more than 320 across my journey around the nation, and it's a lot of cities and towns. But not all of them can claim that Lafayette spent the night, which he did here actually. So he spent the night on Friday, and there was a dinner served here, prepared by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Holliday, as documented by the primary source. By primary source, we mean a paper from 1825 or a personal diary. So he spent the night, and he came from Norfolk and was headed down to North Carolina and all the way down. Basically, we are at the beginning here of what is called the southern trip, or the southern part of Lafayette's tour. So he left the Washington, D.C. vicinity. He waited until the birthday of George Washington. He honored his good friend George Washington in Washington, D.C., then went down. And this was one of his first stops in Southern Virginia. So he would then, from here, go all over the country, okay? And remember, in 1824, at the time, there is a very dividing presidential election opposing John Quincy Adams to Andrew Jackson, William Crawford, and Henry Clay. And Lafayette he's gonna pay visit to all of those people. The winner, Quincy Adams, and all the losers also, including Andrew Jackson in Tennessee also. So today, the legacy of Lafayette is one of a uniting message. That's what I'd like to emphasize at the Lafayette Trail. We can bring Americans together of different political views or political backgrounds or geographical diversity, where, you know, whether you're from French Louisiana or from French Maine or New Hampshire or Tennessee, Kentucky, you can all have a part of Lafayette's legacy. And the marker you're going to see in just a moment, the design is obviously very symbolic. The colors are blue, white, and red. They honor, obviously, the colors of France and of the United States. So Lafayette, one of his nicknames was the hero of two worlds, obviously from France, and his impact on both nations is really what we try to emphasize with this design. So you're going to see this design that reflects the transatlantic commitment of Lafayette, and we're going to try to do just that across the country. So again, geographic diversity. We operate across 25 states. You join a national network of markers here in Suffolk. We're going to have about 175 markers at a minimum across the 25 states. We're fully committed to placing markers as much as we can in sites that have the data to do it. So if you have a marker, it means you have the data. Congratulations. It's not the case for everybody. We get a lot of demands. You know, can we have a marker, please, please? And sometimes the data is not there, you know? So when that's not there, we can't do much. So I think it's great that we have the data for a site like this. You know, the courthouse is a magnificent building. I'm glad you turned it into a visitor center here. It's great. I mean, it's a very busy intersection, obviously. So I'm glad people are going to see it. It's right at the entrance also. I think it's great. And as I said, I'm personally glad we were able to do it. So I want to thank you again, Teresa and Kevin. I also want to acknowledge some of my friends that make this project possible in the Commonwealth of Virginia, starting with Bill in Yorktown, Alyssa also, and I guess Yorktown right now. And all of my friends also that supported me since the very beginning, the Daughters of the American Revolution, American Friends of Lafayette. I mean, we're so many partners now. And one of our partners also is the William G. Pomeroy Foundation in the state of New York. So they can't join us today, but I'm hoping one of my friends can read some remarks on their behalf, if that's okay. So Bill, why don't you come forward? Bill is gonna read some remarks from our partner, the William Pomeroy Foundation. So they partnered with us to fund those markers. And they send remarks because they can't travel from Syracuse, but they send remarks that Bill is gonna read. Thank you, Bill, and thank you again, everybody, for attending. Thank you so much.
From the William G. Pomeroy Foundation to Lafayette Trail Marker Dedication, Suffolk, Virginia, Wednesday, December the 3rd. Congratulations on your Lafayette Trail Historic Marker Dedication Ceremony. We wish we could be with you to commemorate the historical legacy of General Marquis de Lafayette and his farewell tour visit to Suffolk. We commend you for bringing greater attention to the impact Lafayette had on American history and the enduring friendship between the United States and France. This history touches Suffolk and the Commonwealth of Virginia as it does countless communities across the nation. For these important efforts, we extend our appreciation to Julian Ishay and the Lafayette Trail, the City of Suffolk, as well as to all those involved with obtaining the marker you unveil today. At the Pomeroy Foundation, one of our main initiatives is to help people celebrate their community's history. Since 2006, when Bill Pomeroy launched the Foundation's first marker program, we have provided grants for more than 1,250 roadside markers and plaques nationwide. Markers help educate the public, encourage pride of place, and promote historic tourism, economically benefiting the communities in which they are placed. One of the ways we're fulfilling our mission is by funding historic roadside markers on the Lafayette Trail, established to commemorate Lafayette's 1824-1825 U.S. farewell tour. The bicentennial of the farewell tour is only a few years away, and the Pomeroy Foundation has committed to fund up to 175 markers that will be placed on the trail. In addition to the Lafayette Trail program, we offer several nationwide marker grant programs with historic themes that span a diverse range of topics, from folklore and women's suffrage to the National Register of Historic Places. You can learn more on our website, wgpfoundation.org. Today is about paying tribute to Lafayette's February 1825 visit to Suffolk, where he was the guest of honor and dined at the courthouse. We know this Lafayette Trail marker will stand as a testament to Lafayette's legacy and that history happened here for generations to come. Warm regards, Paula Miller, Executive Director, William G. Pomeroy Foundation.
Thank you, Bill. Concluding remarks on my part, also would like to thank Sue. I don't know where Sue is. She's right here. Yeah, so you're just going to say a few remarks after me. And as a conclusion for my part, I invite all of you to join the Lafayette Trail as a member. If you want to learn more about what we do, we have a newsletter for our members in which we advertise all the materials that support each of those markers. Again, the text you're going to see displayed on this marker is supported fully by primary resource materials. If you would like to see where we get it, if you would like to read our stories, what we share in this newsletter, you can become a member for $50 per year. And it would be obviously very helpful to us also as we develop our operations across the country. So that's all. Thank you very much. And Sue, please. Thank you. Thank you, Sue.
I don't know how, can I be loud enough? Is this loud enough? I didn't teach school for nothing. I thought that this must have been the most exciting time in Suffolk history as long as I've known about Lafayette's trip to Suffolk. Yes, what a day. And let me tell you, most of it happened, most of the big events happened right here in this block. Mr. Holliday's hotel was across the street. This was, as Julian said, the courthouse. Mr. Riddick, whose townhouse was on that lot, was the chairman of the event. Just down the street at 444 North Main Street, and the office being vacated right now by Christine and Hubert Young, that's where the Castle Inn was, where he stayed. People in Suffolk only heard 24 hours ahead that he was coming. They had hoped that he would. He had been given an invitation. And apparently, everybody carried the best of everything they could come up with to the inn. So they carried furniture, china, glassware, silver, linens, so he'd have the very best. And when I first came to Suffolk 50 years ago, there were still 2 pieces of furniture that he had used there at the inn. One was destroyed in a fire, one piece was destroyed in a fire, and another has recently left town in the last few years. But in a little over a decade after Lafayette was here, a fire destroyed this block. So none of those buildings where he actually visited are here downtown. But as I live in the 200 block of North Main Street, I'm happy to say there's still some buildings in that direction he would have come past. So I'm happy my house's eyes looked on Lafayette. And let me say, there was no Constance Road, none of this noise, of course. The way into town then from Portsmouth was to what is now Driver, where he stopped at a tavern for refreshment at Tony Pugh's Tavern. Driver didn't exist. Then what we know is Nansemond Parkway, and then to what we know today is East Washington Street. The militia met him at the head of Main Street, and all kinds of excited citizens fell in behind him. And he came this way with this big procession. And I suppose even the more demure ladies probably found it hard to stay in the house and look from the windows. I don't know. But it's a wonderful occasion, and I'm so glad we get to commemorate it. And there'll be, we hope, another marker in Suffolk, former Nansemond County, in Somerton, where there's actually a building standing where he stopped. But thank you, Julian. Thank you. Thank you for this great day.
Okay. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
1, 2, 3.
There you are, Julian. Oh, bless your heart.
Would you like to read it to us?
Lafayette's tour. On February 25th, 1825, General Lafayette was the guest of honor as he dined at the courthouse before leaving Suffolk the next day. So Friday the 25th, leaving on Saturday the 26th to get to beautiful North Carolina. So this was one of our Lafayette's last stops in Virginia and the beginning of his southern tour that would end actually in Boston with the laying of the cornerstone of the Bunker Hill Monument on June 17th, 1825. So that's the beginning of a long journey for Lafayette with carriages, steamboats, including one of them that sank on the Ohio River, but he survived, and a group had a nice idea to commemorate the sinking of the boat with Lafayette's survival, which is now near Kentucky, Indiana, near Louisville. But anyway, so you have the Lafayette Trail logo on top, the credit of the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, and hopefully the text is the same on two sides, and of course I know it is, but so that will be the marker. And again, Sue, thank you for everything, Teresa and Kevin, and yeah, people will see it now. It's gonna be here pretty much everywhere. It doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, doesn't need anything, just a little maintenance over the years, that's about it. So just take care of it and he will be here.
Thank you so much, Julian, Sue, Kevin, and thank you all for coming. This is, like Julian said, it's always here, and it's going to be a part of the visitor center and part of everything we do here for years to come. And as long as we have people like Sue and Julian keeping history really alive for us, it never disappears. So often things are forgotten, and I love listening to Sue because she transports you back to that moment. And I'm picturing her waving from her front porch. But swooning. Hopefully someone's there to catch Sue. But the wonderful thing is that history is still alive in Suffolk here every day, and we are really fortunate to be able to honor it in such a way. Please feel free to take pictures, to talk to Julian and Sue, and we have gifts for everyone. And thank you so much for coming on this special day.